Alpha King, her stepmother, scoffed at the puppy she inherited, until the Duke came forward. Princess Alara stood by the cold stone balcony, her fingers gripping the carved edge. The kingdom around her seemed empty, hollow, and even the wind whispered doubts in her ears. Today was the day she inherited her father's final gift, a small creature no one seemed to take seriously, except perhaps the late king himself. It was a puppy, or so everyone thought. Its coat was silver like the moonlight, its eyes deep and unusual golden flecks swirling with something not entirely animal. Queen Vela, her stepmother, stood nearby, her silk dress rustling as she inspected the gift with a sneer. "A puppy," she scoffed, voice sharp as steel. "Your father must have lost his mind. This thing, it's hardly worth feeding. You child will drown in responsibilities before you learn to care for a dog." Alara's cheeks flushed with a mix of anger and embarrassment. She had been raised in the shadow of her stepmother's scorn for as long as she could remember. Every word Vela spoke cut like a knife, but today the words seemed heavier, more deliberate. The princess lowered her eyes to the trembling creature who sat quietly on the balcony floor. Its ears flicked at her gaze, and it tilted its head as if studying her heart. "You don't understand," Alara whispered softly, more to herself than to Vela. He was my father's choice." The queen's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Your father is gone, Alara, and you, it seems, are left with nothing but delusions of grandeur. A wolf, a pet, I see only weakness." Alara felt a pang in her chest. Weakness. That was what she always felt around Vela. Small, powerless, like a shadow trying to reach the light. She crouched beside the puppy, running her fingers through its soft, silver fur. To her surprise, it leaned into her touch, pressing its warm body against her hand. "I'll protect you," she murmured, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "Even if no one else will." The puppy blinked slowly. Its golden eyes seemed to glow for a heartbeat, then it nuzzled her hand again. Alara's stomach twisted in wonder. There was something unusual about this creature, something that pulsed with a quiet, magical life. The wind shifted suddenly, and with it came a whisper, almost like a voice carried by the breeze. "She is chosen," it seemed to say. Alara shivered, looking around, but the balcony was empty except for her and the creature. Before she could dwell on the strange sensation, the heavy doors of the castle hall swung open. Duke Kale entered, tall and imposing, his black cloak brushing the stone floor. His presence always commanded attention, but today his eyes lingered on the small, silver creature and then on her. "You have inherited quite a surprise, Princess," Kale said, his voice low, smooth, and hinting at amusement. "I see your stepmother finds it unworthy of notice." Vela's eyes narrowed. "Duke Kale, your concern is unnecessary. The child can handle her inheritance. It is only a trifle." Kale's gaze swept over her, a sharp, calculating look that made Alara feel both exposed and strangely safe. "A trifle," he murmured. "I would call it dangerous, and perhaps in time powerful, but most importantly alive, very much alive." Alara looked between her stepmother and Kale. She had always admired the Duke from afar, though his reputation made others wary. There were stories about him, dark tales of cunning and ambition, of whispered deals made in shadows. Yet, standing here looking into his eyes, she saw something more complex. A force, yes, but also a spark of understanding, almost empathy. Alara started, but Vela interrupted, her voice sharp as ice. "You will do nothing of the sort, child. This creature is beneath you. Leave it to the servants. You are to attend the council in 10 minutes. Enough of childish distractions." Alara's heart ached, but she did not move. She knelt beside the puppy, pressing her forehead against its soft fur. The world seemed to narrow, shrinking to the warmth and steady pulse of life under her touch. Kale stepped closer, his hand brushing the edge of the balcony. "Princess," he said, voice low, "this creature is not what it seems. Its power is tied to something older than your kingdom, something that could change everything." Alara raised her eyes to meet his. Change everything. How? She asked, curiosity tinged with fear. Kale's gaze flicked to her stepmother, who had turned away, muttering about protocol and appearances. Then he looked back at Alara. I can explain, but not here, not yet. Meet me in the northern gardens tonight, alone. I promise you will understand. Alara's pulse quickened. Meeting the Duke alone was risky, dangerous even. Yet a strange trust tugged at her, anchored in the way he had studied her and the puppy, the way his voice had softened for her. I will come, she whispered, almost reluctantly. Kale nodded once, his expression unreadable, then swept past Vela and disappeared into the hall. The castle felt colder once he left. Shadows stretched across the walls like long fingers, and Alara shivered despite the warmth of the sun. The puppy stirred, nuzzling her hand as if sensing her unease. She picked it up, cradling it close to her chest. The day passed slowly, each moment stretched with an anxious longing. Alara followed the usual routines, attended the council and smiled politely, but her thoughts kept returning to Kale's words. What could the puppy be? What secret power lay hidden in its small frame? As evening fell, she slipped away from the servant's eyes, heading toward the northern gardens. Mist rolled across the cobblestones, and the air smelled faintly of rain and earth. The castle loomed behind her, cold and silent. The gardens were empty, save for the gentle rustle of leaves in the wind. Alara knelt beside the fountain, setting the puppy down carefully. Its golden eyes glimmered in the moonlight, almost human in their intensity. Then, a shadow moved. Kale stepped from behind a row of blackened roses, his cloak flowing like water. You came, he said, voice almost a whisper. I did, Alara replied, steadying herself. You said you would explain. Kale knelt beside the puppy, observing it carefully. This creature is bound to you by an old magic, he said. It was your father's doing. He knew the kingdom would need you to be strong, to be ready. This puppy is your companion, protector, and a part of a power that sleeps within you. Alara frowned, unsure how to respond. A power within me? I don't understand. Kale's eyes met hers, and for a moment the tension between them shifted, charged with a strange electricity. You will, but first you must learn to trust yourself, and to trust the wolf. Suddenly the puppy's body shivered and its form blurred, stretching, shifting. Alara gasped, stepping back. The small dog transformed, growing taller, more solid, fur darkening, eyes glowing like molten gold. For a heartbeat it appeared more wolf than puppy, its presence commanding and terrifying all at once. Alara's heart raced. What? Kale placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Do not be afraid. It is part of you just as much as it is part of the world. The wolf's gaze locked with hers, and in that moment something inside Alara stirred. A warmth, a strength she had never felt. The creature nudged her hand and she reached out instinctively, brushing her fingers along its fur. And then, as if answering an unspoken call, it shifted back into its smaller, softer form. Alara's knees weakened and she sank to the ground. Kale knelt beside her, his hand lingering near hers, offering reassurance. This is only the beginning, he said quietly. There is much you do not know, and many who will try to take it from you. Alara looked up at him, fear and awe mingling in her chest. Why me? She asked softly. Kale's gaze was distant, thoughtful. Because you are the one who can survive it, the one who can lead. And perhaps, the one who can change everything. A sudden gust of wind swept through the garden, carrying with it the faintest whisper. Alara froze, listening. The words were lost in the rustle of leaves, but the meaning was clear. A journey had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. As she held the silver puppy close, Alara felt a strange hope ignite within her, fragile, uncertain, but undeniable. Tomorrow the world would demand courage. Tonight she had a companion, a secret, and the first spark of destiny. Somewhere in the shadows, Kale watched her, his expression unreadable. For the first time, the princess felt that perhaps the dangerous Duke might not be her enemy. Perhaps he would be her guide. And yet, in the silence of the night, the wolf stirred, golden eyes flickering, as if aware of the trials to come. The inherited shadow had awakened. The moon hung low over Eldoria Castle, casting silver shadows across the northern gardens. Mist curled around the blackened rose bushes, twisting and curling like living fingers. Princess Ilara moved carefully among the winding paths, her silver puppy, or, more accurately, the wolf that would sometimes reveal its true self, trotting quietly at her side. Her heart raced with anticipation and fear. The world had shifted today. Her father's gift, Kale's warnings, and the wolf's strange behavior all left her mind spinning. She tried to focus, telling herself that she was not a child anymore. She was a princess, an heir, and perhaps something more, though she didn't yet understand what. The soft rustle of footsteps reached her ears. From the shadows, Duke Kale emerged, his black cloak barely whispering against the wet cobblestones. His expression was calm, almost detached, but his eyes, sharp and golden in the moonlight, held an intensity that made Ilara's stomach tighten. "You came," Kale said, stepping closer. His voice was low, steady, and compelling. "I was certain you would." Ilara nodded, trying to steady her own voice. "You said there would be answers. I need to understand what this creature really is." Kale's gaze fell on the wolf, who had stopped and sat perfectly still, as if aware of the importance of the moment. "Not just a creature," Kale said carefully. "It is a guardian, a guide, a reflection of something deep inside you. Your father left it to you because he believed, and I believe, that you are the one who can awaken what lies dormant." Ilara's brow furrowed. "Awaken? What do you mean? I'm just a princess. I don't have magic, I don't have power." Kale's lips curled in a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "Power is not always in spells or armies," he said softly. "It is in the choices you make, in the courage to face what others fear, in the strength to accept what you are, even when the world doubts you." The wolf's golden eyes met hers, and for a heartbeat, Ilara felt a connection that went beyond logic or reason. Its presence was comforting, yet commanding. She reached out, brushing her hand along its soft silver fur, and felt warmth radiate into her palm. "You must train," Kale continued. "Learn to trust yourself and learn to trust the wolf. It will protect you, yes, but it will also test you, challenge you, force you to see the truth about yourself." Ilara swallowed hard. "And what about you?" she asked cautiously. "Why are you helping me?" Kale's expression darkened slightly, and his gaze drifted toward the distant towers of the castle. "Because the kingdom's fate, and perhaps your own, depends on it. There are forces in Eldoria that do not wish to see you rise, and I cannot allow that." Ilara sensed a hidden depth in his words. There was danger in Kale, danger and shadow, but also protection and something unspoken, like a promise. She wanted to trust him, but fear and doubt gnawed at her. The wind stirred, carrying with it the scent of wet earth and faint roses. The wolf growled softly, low and melodic, as if warning them of something unseen. Ilara looked around, but the garden was empty except for mist and shadows. "Do you hear that?" she asked, voice trembling. Kale nodded, his jaw tight. "The kingdom is alive with secrets," he said. "And some of them are hungry." Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. "Hungry?" Kale stepped closer, his presence commanding yet strangely comforting. "There are beings who once served the old kings, creatures tied to Eldoria's magic. Some have vanished, others wait. They will test anyone who inherits power." The wolf shifted, its fur bristling slightly. Then it sat, calm again, eyes flicking between Ilara and Kale. It seemed to sense the tension between them, as if it understood more than she did. Kale knelt beside the creature, placing a hand near its shoulder. "The first lesson begins tonight," he said quietly. "You must face fear. You must learn to listen, not with your ears but with your heart." Ilara hesitated. "I don't know if I can." Kale's gaze softened, though only slightly. "You will," he said firmly. "I will guide you, but you must walk this path willingly, and once you begin there is no turning back." She nodded, uncertainty twisting in her chest. "All right," she whispered. Kale handed her a small, silver pendant shaped like a crescent moon. "This will anchor you," he said. "When the wolf's magic awakens, keep it close. It will help you maintain your control." Alara clutched the pendant, feeling its weight settle into her palm. It felt warm, alive, as if it pulsed with hidden energy. The wolf nudged her hand, pressing its head gently against her chest. "Good," Kale murmured. "Now stand." Alara obeyed, trembling slightly. Kale stepped back and raised his hand. "Close your eyes," he instructed. "Breathe. Focus on what you feel, not what you see. The wolf will guide you." The air around them shifted, the mist swirling in strange, delicate patterns. Alara closed her eyes, feeling the world shrink to the warmth of the wolf at her side, the gentle hum of energy in the air, and Kale's steady presence behind her. "Listen," Kale whispered. "Do not think. Do not resist. Let the wolf show you." Alara took a deep breath and reached out, placing both hands on the creature. A surge of warmth spread through her, a pulse that seemed to resonate in her chest. Colors, shapes, and feelings flashed behind her closed eyelids, flashes of light and shadow, of strength and fear, of loss and longing. Her body shivered, and the wolf's golden eyes glowed brighter. Then a strange sensation rippled through her, a connection she could not describe. She felt herself and the wolf as one, intertwined in ways that defied logic. "Do you feel it?" Kale asked softly. Alara's voice was barely a whisper. "Yes, something is waking." "Good," Kale said. "Now open your heart, let it flow." A sudden surge of power washed through her and she gasped, stumbling backward. The wolf's form blurred, expanding, and for a heartbeat it appeared taller, fiercer, and almost human in its bearing. Alara's eyes widened. "Kale, it's changing," Kale nodded, calm and steady. "Yes, it responds to you, and you to it. This is only the beginning." The wolf shifted back to its smaller form, but its eyes burned with intensity. Alara's hands shook, her chest heaving, but a strange exhilaration coursed through her. Fear and wonder intertwined, leaving her breathless. "You are stronger than you think," Kale said, voice low, almost intimate. "And the wolf will teach you more than I ever could. But remember, the world will test you. There are those who will see your gift as a threat." Alara met his gaze, seeing a mix of warning and something else, something warmer, protective, and dangerous all at once. "And you," she asked softly, "will you stay?" Kale's lips curved in a faint smile. "As long as you need me," he said, "but do not mistake guidance for protection from everything. Some dangers you must face alone." The garden grew quiet, the mist curling like smoke in the moonlight. Alara held the wolf close, feeling its steady heartbeat, and wondered how she could ever face what was to come. "Tomorrow," Kale said after a pause, "we begin your training properly. Tonight was only a taste. Rest now, princess. You will need all your strength." Alara nodded, her heart heavy and light at the same time. She did not fully understand the path she was stepping onto, but for the first time she felt the stirrings of courage. And she felt, deep inside, a spark of connection to Kale, dangerous, forbidden, and exhilarating. As she walked back toward the castle, the wolf trotting silently at her side, she could not shake the feeling that the world had shifted irrevocably. Shadows whispered secrets she did not yet know, and the kingdom itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would come next. At the castle gates, Kale lingered, his eyes following her. "Remember," he said quietly, "the night is alive with more than moonlight. Be wary, princess." Alara nodded, and the gates closed behind her with a soft thud. She carried the wolf up to her chamber, the silver pendant warm against her chest, and lay down, her thoughts a whirlwind of fear, curiosity, and something she could not name. Somewhere in the castle, Queen Vela watched from her high window, a sly smile playing on her lips. "So, the princess has found a friend," she murmured. "Let us see how long her strength lasts." Alara, however, did not hear her stepmother's plotting. She only felt the wolf curled at her feet, the pendant's warmth against her heart, and the strange, thrilling certainty that her life, and the kingdom, would never be the same again. Mist swirled around the northern forests of Eldoria, thick and cold, carrying the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Princess Alara rode a white horse, her cloak wrapped tightly around her shoulders, while the wolf ran alongside, its silver fur glinting in the pale light of the early morning. Duke Kale rode a few paces behind, his black cloak blending with the shadows. The forest seemed alive, whispering secrets to those who dared to listen. Alara had never ventured this far from the castle. The trees were twisted, their gnarled branches reaching for the sky like skeletal fingers. Every step deeper into the forest made her heart beat faster. She felt the pull of the magic here, old and sharp and sometimes frighteningly alive. "Are you certain this is safe?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. The wolf stopped and looked back at her, golden eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Kale's gaze followed hers, scanning the forest with sharp precision. "Safe is a relative term in Eldoria," he said quietly. "The deeper we go, the closer we come to the source of the curse that binds this land and the wolf. You will need courage, Princess." Alara swallowed hard. She had felt courage before, small sparks in quiet moments, but this was something heavier, something demanding more than she had ever known. The wolf suddenly halted, ears pricked, tail stiff. Its gaze darted to a clearing ahead, and it let out a low, warning growl. Alara tensed, clutching the reins. Kale dismounted swiftly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Stay close," he murmured. In the clearing, ruins of an ancient temple rose from the moss-covered ground. Crumbled stone walls etched with faded runes marked the place as once sacred, long abandoned. The air here thrummed with power, tingling against their skin. "This temple," Kale said, voice low, reverent, "was once the heart of Eldoria's magic. The curse that binds your wolf, and perhaps the kingdom itself, began here." Alara dismounted, the wolf padding silently beside her. She felt a strange pull in her chest, a connection to the temple that was both frightening and familiar. "Why me?" she asked softly, eyes tracing the ruins. "Why is it my duty to face this?" Kale studied her face, and for a moment the usual intensity in his eyes softened. "Because you can," he said simply. "Because your father believed in you, because the wolf chose you. And because the kingdom will not survive without someone who dares to confront what others fear." Alara felt the weight of his words, and a quiet determination stirred inside her. She was small in the world, perhaps, but she was not powerless. Not entirely. The wolf stepped forward, nose twitching as it sniffed the ground. Then, as if sensing the need for caution, it transformed, partially, this time into a larger, shadowy version of itself, towering above her. Alara's breath caught. The creature was majestic, fierce, and commanding, yet it radiated calm, protective energy. Kale's hand brushed against hers. "Do not fear it," he said softly. "It is a part of you, and it will teach you how to face what is coming." They entered the temple ruins carefully. Stones shifted underfoot, ancient runes glowing faintly as if recognizing her presence. The wolf padded ahead, its glowing eyes scanning the darkness. Suddenly, the air grew colder. Shadows moved unnaturally along the walls, twisting like living things. Whispered voices, faint and distant, rose from the stones. Alara shivered but pressed on, following the wolf's lead. "Listen," Kale whispered. "Do not speak, do not resist, feel the magic." Alara closed her eyes, letting her senses reach beyond the visible. The whispers became clearer, like a language her heart understood but her mind could not name. Images flashed in her mind, glimpses of past kings, spectral warriors, and the wolf in forms she had never imagined. She stumbled, nearly falling, and Kale caught her arm. "You are stronger than your fear," he said. "Let the magic flow through you, not against you." The wolf stopped in the center of the temple. Its form shifted fully, towering above her, golden eyes burning with intensity. It lowered its head, nudging her with a force that was more gentle than powerful, but she felt the impact deep in her chest. "Focus," Kale instructed, standing beside her. "This is your trial. You will face what binds you, what binds the wolf, and perhaps what binds yourself. Alara took a deep breath, closing her eyes. The temple hummed with power, the very stones vibrating with energy. She reached out with her mind, her heart, and felt the connection, a web of magic linking the wolf, the ruins, and herself. A vision unfolded, shadows of people trapped in forms not their own, an evil presence seeking control over the kingdom, and a force that fed on fear. Her breath caught. It's all connected, she whispered. The wolf, the curse, the kingdom. Kale nodded. Yes. And only one who can accept the darkness within themselves can untangle it. Only one who can embrace their fear and strength together can survive. The wolf's growl rose, low and melodic, and shadows in the temple twisted toward them, forming shapes that were almost human. Alara's pulse raced. The creatures were not alive, yet they carried weight, intent, and menace. Stand behind me, Kale instructed. You must not fight them with force. You must fight with understanding, with courage. Alara obeyed, heart pounding. She felt the wolf at her side, steady, anchoring her. She closed her eyes again, focusing not on the fear but on the connection, the bond between her and the wolf. The shadows hesitated, as if sensing something they could not touch. With a steadying breath, she whispered, I am not afraid. The words seemed to carry weight. The shadows shivered, writhing, and then, one by one, began to dissipate, melting into mist that the temple walls absorbed. The wolf shifted back to its smaller, softer form, golden eyes calm and glowing faintly. Alara's knees weakened and Kale caught her arm. You did well, he said, his voice low and full of pride. But this is only the beginning. There is more to uncover, more to face. And the wolf's power, your power, will grow with each trial. She nodded, still breathless, feeling both exhaustion and exhilaration. The forest outside seemed quieter now, almost reverent. Yet a part of her could not shake the sense that something waited, just beyond sight, watching, patient and hungry. You are changing, Kale said softly, not just because of the wolf or the magic. You are becoming someone who can face the shadows of the past and the future. Alara's heart skipped. His words carried weight, danger, and warmth all at once. She looked at him, feeling the pull of connection she could not name, a mixture of gratitude, admiration, and something deeper. The wolf nuzzled her hand, and she felt the strength of its trust. I don't know if I can do this, she admitted quietly. Kale's hand brushed against hers. You already are, he said simply. You just don't realize it yet, and I will help you see. They left the temple, the forest mist curling around them like living threads. The wolf ran ahead, silver fur shining, golden eyes glowing faintly, a constant reminder of the power they now shared. As they neared the castle, Alara felt a shift in the air. Shadows seemed longer, the wind colder. She turned her head, sensing something, someone, watching them. Kale noticed too, his eyes narrowed. They know, he murmured. The enemies of Eldoria are aware that the wolf's heir is awakening. We are being watched. Alara shivered, gripping the wolf's fur. What do they want? Kale's jaw tightened. They want control, they want power. And some will stop at nothing to claim the wolf and the magic tied to it. You must be ready. Alara's heart pounded, a mixture of fear and determination rising in her chest. She looked at Kale, and for the first time she understood the weight of the trials to come. He was not just her guide. He was her protector, her ally, and perhaps something more. The wolf, curled at her feet, let out a soft growl, golden eyes flickering with warning. The forest was quiet now, but the tension remained unbroken. At the castle gates, Kale dismounted. Rest tonight, he said. Tomorrow we continue, and the next trial will not be easy. Alara nodded, watching him disappear into the shadows. The wolf padded beside her, nuzzling her hand, and she felt a strange calm wash over her. In the quiet of her chamber, Alara lay awake, the silver pendant warm against her chest. She thought of the forest, the temple, and the shadows she had faced. Fear and courage mingled in her heart. She knew that the curse, the wolf, and her destiny were bound together, and that her journey was only beginning. Somewhere in the shadows of the castle, Queen Vela observed from her high window, a faint smile on her lips. "So, the princess awakens," she whispered. "Let us see if she can survive what comes next." Alara, however, felt neither fear nor doubt. She felt a spark of power, a connection to the wolf, and a strange, thrilling certainty that she was ready to face the trials, the shadows, and the destiny that awaited her. And in the night, the wolf stirred, golden eyes flickering, as if aware of the battles to come, not just for Eldoria, but for the princess herself. The first light of dawn crept across the towers of Eldoria Castle, painting the stone in pale gold. Princess Alara stood on the highest balcony, the wind tugging at her silver cloak. Her eyes, golden from hours spent in the northern forest with the wolf, scanned the horizon. Today, she knew, everything would change. Beside her, the wolf, silver and sleek, now calm but alert, padded softly. Its golden eyes reflected the rising sun, and for a moment, Alara felt the strength of their bond, unbroken and powerful. She tightened her grip on the silver crescent pendant her father had left her, feeling its warmth pulse against her chest. "You are ready," Kale's voice said behind her. She turned, and there he was, stepping from the shadows, cloaked dark against the soft dawn light. His eyes, sharp and piercing, held a rare softness for her, as ready as anyone can be. Alara nodded, swallowing the knot of fear that had settled in her stomach. "I hope so," she whispered. "I cannot fail." Kale stepped closer, his presence steadying her. "No one said this would be easy," he said, "but you are not alone." The wolf let out a low growl as if confirming Kale's words. Below them, the castle grounds stirred. Soldiers lined the walls, tense and alert. They had sensed the unrest spreading across Eldoria. And somewhere beyond the city, Queen Vela plotted. The stepmother's betrayal had grown bolder since Alara began training with the wolf. Vela had made alliances with those who sought control over the kingdom's magic. She intended to seize power by exploiting the princess's inexperience. Alara's heart clenched. "She will not win," she said, more to herself than to Kale. "I will not let her." Kale's eyes softened. "You will face her today," he said quietly. "But remember, your strength is not just in power. It is in wisdom, in courage, and in the choices you make." The wolf padded forward, sensing the tension in the air. Alara followed, her hand brushing its fur. Every step toward the throne room felt heavier, as if the castle itself waited in anticipation. When they reached the main hall, Vela stood at the top of the grand staircase, her silk gown shimmering like dark water. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, swept over Alara and Kale. "So the wolf-bound princess dares to return," she said, voice cold and cutting. "Do you truly believe you are prepared to claim what is yours?" Alara straightened, drawing in a deep breath. "I do," she said firmly. Her hand rested on the wolf which stood beside her, silver fur gleaming in the morning light. "And I will not let you harm this kingdom." Vela laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "This kingdom belongs to power, princess. Strength, cunning, and fear. You are young, inexperienced, and you are weak." Kale stepped forward, placing himself slightly in front of Alara. "Strength is not only force," he said, voice low and dangerous. "It is also courage, and courage lies in protecting what you love, not in dominating others." Alara's heart raced. She had always feared confrontation with Vela, but now she felt the weight of her training, the wolf's magic, and Kale's guidance. She stood taller, her voice steady. "I am not weak, and the kingdom will not fall to fear." The tension in the hall was electric. Soldiers and servants watched silently, sensing the approaching storm. Vela's lips tightened, and with a flick of her hand, shadows surged forward, dark and swirling, animated by her magic. They moved like living serpents, coiling toward Alara and the wolf. Alara's pulse quickened. She pressed her hand to the pendant, feeling its warmth surge through her. The wolf growled, its form shifting slightly, taller and fiercer, golden eyes burning. Together they stepped forward, facing the shadows. "Focus," Kale whispered. "Remember what you have learned." Alara closed her eyes, reaching within herself. She felt the wolf's presence, steady and strong, anchoring her. The shadows hissed and lunged, but she did not falter. She extended her hand, letting her magic flow in rhythm with the wolf's energy. A radiant light emerged, golden and silver, wrapping around the shadows, dissolving them into mist. Vela's eyes widened in disbelief. "Impossible," she hissed. Alara opened her eyes. She could feel the power, the connection to the kingdom, the wolf, and herself. "You underestimated me," she said firmly. "You underestimated what I have learned." Vela's expression darkened. She raised both hands, summoning a wave of black energy that surged like a storm toward Alara. Kale moved swiftly, intercepting it with a shield of shadow and light, but the force was overwhelming. Alara pressed her hand to the pendant again, feeling her courage and determination solidify. She stepped forward, the wolf at her side, and together they released a pulse of golden light that collided with Vela's dark magic. The hall shook, stones cracking under the force. A brilliant flash filled the room. When the light faded, Vela lay on the floor, her magic dissipated, her power broken but not destroyed. She stared up at Alara, shock and fury in her eyes. Alara's chest heaved. "It is over," she said softly. "The kingdom is not yours to take." Kale stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder. "It is done," he said. "You have faced fear, embraced your strength, and chosen wisely. You have become who you were meant to be." The wolf nuzzled Alara's hand, and she felt a warmth that spread through her, a mixture of triumph and relief. She looked at Kale, and for the first time their eyes met fully, without fear or hesitation. In that glance, something unspoken passed between them, admiration, trust, and the quiet stirrings of something deeper. Vela, realizing she had lost, struggled to rise. But the wolf stepped forward, growling softly, golden eyes gleaming. The queen froze, realizing she could not move against the power of the bond between Alara and the wolf. Alara approached, her voice calm but firm. "Leave Eldoria," she said, "and do not return." Vela's eyes narrowed, but she understood the truth in Alara's words. With a final glare, she disappeared into the shadows, leaving the throne room and the kingdom behind. The soldiers stepped forward, bowing to Alara. "Princess," one whispered, awe in his voice, "you have saved us all." Alara's heart swelled, not with pride but with quiet determination. She knelt beside the wolf, brushing its fur. "We did this together," she said softly. The wolf nudged her hand, golden eyes glowing with pride and trust. Kale approached, his gaze lingering on her. "You are ready to lead," he said quietly, "and you will not be alone." Alara felt a warmth in her chest, a mixture of relief, triumph, and something tender stirring for Kale. I could not have done this without you," she admitted softly. Kale's eyes softened and he offered a faint smile. "And I could not have done it without you," he said. "We are stronger together, always." The morning light bathed the hall in gold as Alara stood beside the throne. For the first time she felt the weight of her destiny, not as a burden but as a responsibility she could embrace. She had faced fear, embraced power, and learned courage. She had discovered her own strength, the magic within her, and the bond with the wolf, a bond that had guided her through darkness into light. The kingdom was safe, but Alara knew the lessons of power, courage, and trust would stay with her forever. She looked at Kale and the wolf, feeling gratitude and a quiet, thrilling certainty. Together they had faced the shadows, and together they would face the future. In the distance the forests whispered, the wind carried secrets of old magic, and the kingdom of Eldoria awakened to a new dawn. A dawn of hope, strength, and unity. Alara turned her eyes to the horizon, the wolf at her side, Kale close behind, and whispered softly, "We are ready." And in the quiet, golden light of morning, the princess, the wolf, and the duke stepped forward into a future of courage, love, and the promise of new legends. The shadows of the past were gone, but the bond between them, forged in trials, magic, and trust, would remain forever.